Greetings, as promised, post-match Chelsea versus United at the Bridge. Game finishes 2-0. I decided to do something a little bit different for this one. I have my man Bernie from UnderTheCosh representing United. And, you know, you guys get the spoils of 3 points. Lots to talk about, obviously, and we'll get into that. But how you feeling, Bernie?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I'm currently in Vegas, so nice weather compared to Toronto. And what better way to cap off, you know, a great match day and being in warm weather than absolutely beating Chelsea for the third time in a row, taking care of Lampard. So it's a wonderful feeling right now.
Man, I mean, get in line. I mean, we now, our home form has been just so despicable this year. So, I mean, you can wear that hat if you want, but like beating Chelsea at home right now is not really something that many people take pride in right now. It's just so easy. We've become very, very timid and hard to, and not as hard to play against as we were, you know, even like under the Jose years or even Conte when we had Conte here and whatnot. We're just a little bit too easy to play into. But I don't know. When I saw the lineup, I was already had the look of fear in my eyes. I had that Phil Jones, you know, the face of like ponderous and fear right from when I saw it, because I noticed that we didn't have Tammy Abraham. I noticed that we didn't have Callum Hudson-Odoi, and you know those are two of our main attacking conduits, particular this year, Tammy Abraham in particular, and of course without Pulisic as well. I was really worried about what we were going to be able to do as far as the creation aspects on the pitch. And, you know, we started with Pedro, we started with Willian, who's a mainstay in the starting 11. But I was worried about like what we were going to be getting, you know, as far as like creating opportunities with an incohesive side, like not a squad that plays together a lot. We didn't see a lot of Michi. He played up top this year, and Pedro's been in and out of the lineup. And, you know, outside of the midfield three where we had Conte, Kovacic, and Jorginho, it just looked like we didn't really have a lot of cohesion in terms of understanding of what we wanted to execute on the pitch. Well, from the United end, Bernie, what were you thinking when you saw the lineups?
I mean, I really wanted first off to see a different formation. I wanted to see, you know, I'm not a fan of the 4-2-3-1, but I wanted to see either that or 4-3-3, which actually served Solskjaer well during his interim run. But he's either gone 4-2-3-1 or this 3-5-2 or 5-3-2, depending on which side you sit on.
Yeah.
Seeing Shaw as a center back, I know he's done it a few times. It doesn't sit well with me. But with Axel still not match fit and the other option Jones, sure, I get it. I play Shaw there. I wanted to see Mason instead of Dan James. Mason has got 10 goals this season, and now you've brought in a sub-striker in Igalo, so the pressure is off. You can start Mason in games and not worry about pressure of him trying to win you games off the bench. Mm-hmm. Dan James, as much energy as he has, sometimes you need technical play, right? And interpassing, which he, you know, that interplay, the one touch, 1-2 game, and he doesn't do that. And I feel Mason and Martial would have done that. So I was a little bit disappointed in that, but you know, it worked out, I guess.
Yeah, it totally did. Like, I mean, as far as the run of the play goes, I mean, I was really, really enjoying the match. Like, you know, I thought it was end to end at times. I felt like Chelsea did a great job of controlling the middle areas of the pitch with that midfield three. I thought that Kovacic was very good at turning and getting into the teeth of the defense. And unfortunately, as I always say, like it just seems like Chelsea have struggled the entire year, and for as long as I've really for longer than I care to really comment on, we've struggled with the final ball, getting the ball in the dangerous areas and finishing off chances. And that reader's ugly head against today, where, you know, Chelsea worked the ball very well down the flanks, cut it back inside. We have, you know, Michy Batshuayi, who, you know, gets jeered by a lot of the Chelsea supporters for, you know, his lack of finishing and like his offsides and whatnot. But for me, as much as I do believe that one opportunity he had, you know, clean in front of the goal on his favored left foot, should have buried it. I really feel like a striker needs to be somebody that is in form and has to have a run of games before you see the best out of them. So when I see Michy struggle to finish off opportunities that you would normally see him bury, I have to attribute it to just a lack of a playing time, a lack of like, really being, in the match fit and getting into match form. And like, I feel like that reared his ugly head in its first half, where his movement was good, his link up play was very good, but unfortunately he just couldn't finish. And, it came back to bite us in the end. Um, as far as his overall game, I thought that he was. I mean, how can you really give a striker a passing grade when you have like a goal scoring opportunity like that, and you don't bury it. You can't really give him a grade that is past satisfactory. But as far as link up play goes, his hold up play, his ability to bring others into play, I thought he was very good. It was just the finishing, which is what you want. When you fashion the last move for your striker, you want him to finish, and unfortunately, he just wasn't doing that today.
I will say that and I can't believe I forgot to mention Eric Bailly playing his first
Big,
game of the season, and
big.
I thought he came up really, really big in multiple moments in this game. There were those times where there's some intricate play from Chelsea and they broke into the lines, and you think, okay, they're through, and then he throws his body in the way. And there was a few where he just dribbled a few of your attackers in his own box and did some pirouette thing. And I thought, he's a crazy person, and I love how crazy he is, but he may just be that just right amount of crazy that you need to play next to Maguire, because Maguire, for instance, leads the league in terms of chances created from a defender.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to progress the ball. He's going to take it forward. He's going to pass it, but you need that bit of madness. And I feel like Chelsea defenders, I mean, you saw in this game, to me, the difference is that they're too soft, and you need someone who's a bit of a hard man. And I think that was ultimately the difference in the day. There were not that many chances. I think United had 8 shots overall, 2 on target. Both of them were goals, but it was the tenacity and the aggression in both boxes for Martial's goal and the way that they defended. Yes, there were 2 VAR goals, whatever, but just the actual aggression that United showed in this game in both boxes was the actual difference in this game, irrespective of whatever refereeing decisions we want to get to.
Yeah, I mean, we could touch on the refereeing decisions later. I really just want to try and get into the tactical aspect of the game first, because, the things that we can control, like, I thought Chelsea were brilliant at playing out from the back. I thought that they broke the press quite effectively. I thought both teams were very good at pressing high up the pitch. And I liked seeing the fact that, like, because it's weird, like at times this season, Chelsea haven't really utilized the press, and it may just be down to fatigue, just, having a lot of matches and not really being, up to snuff to get really forward and then get back as well. Like, guys aren't running like 11 kilometers, 13 kilometers a game in the middle parts of the season. Once you get into December, they tend to slow it down.
Mm-hmm.
And it was good to see that, with the winter break or whatever you want to call it, it's good to see that like a lot of the pressing aspects of both teams' game came back to the fore, and they're pressing high up the pitch. The thing that I liked about Chelsea's game in terms of playing out from the back was what it looked like they had very good composure. Like guys like Kovacic was very calm on the ball. Of course, Jorginho was always calm. And then our center backs, we didn't look like we were, as much as we were pressured, we didn't look panicked while we were under pressure. So I saw Rudiger looking very good in possession, which is rare. And I also saw Christensen, again, you will always feel Christensen's good in possession. It's just the other aspects of the game you're speaking of that I feel like he kind of falls short, like the aggression and like the tenacity, and everything that you said was like bang on. I felt like in terms of the boxes, I felt like United dominated the boxes in terms of aggression and tenacity, and Chelsea just lacked in that respect. But at the same time, it's how the game's refereed too. Like if the times where I saw Chelsea show that bit of tenacity, Zuma gets down the flank and completely eviscerates Martial, clean tackle, and that's called a foul, and then he gets a yellow card for that. So as soon as you take that out of the game, the ability to be that aggressive with a yellow card, it's a little bit harder to play with that style of game and be effective at it, because you're already on the caution, you're behind 1-0. Like how do you manage the game from there? And unfortunate, but again, I don't want to get into the refereeing decisions quite yet, but I felt like that one aspect of the game was somewhat skewed.
I will say that tactically, I thought that Chelsea were a little bit naive because, yes, I think there was the issue with with that challenge that you're talking about. But there were 2 or 3 good chances that Chelsea gave to United where they could whip the ball in, especially in the second half. And on who's the left on Aspilicueta was playing as a left back, right? On his side. I don't really remember if it was him or not, but there were 2 free kicks that United had on that side. One was actually the Pedro foul,
Hmm.
which led to Bruno Fernandes hitting the post with the free kick. And then the second one, I don't remember who it was. It might actually, I think it was Pedro again on Fred. So Pedro 2 times, and Pedro lost his head. I don't really understand why. But
Hmm.
Bruno Fernandes swung in a ball, and then Maguire played it across, and it could have been a goal, but you guys cleared it off. But the point I'm trying to make there tactically was clearly it was a tactic from Man United to leverage the delivery of Bruno Fernandes. There's a text message that Harry Maguire's brother has been floating around, which is, "I'm going to score today, cross off the back post." And he posted it and said he predicted how he was going to do this because they had clearly been practicing utilizing Bruno Fernandes' ability on the ball to deliver a whipped-in cross, and Harry Maguire can come off the back post. We scored from that with a corner, almost scored off a set-piece delivery there, and I thought Chelsea just did not recognize what was going on. United were very happy to draw those fouls and get shots on and create havoc in the box that way. And
Well,
Lampard needed to fix that.
well, I mean, how do you fix it, right? Like, I mean, to be honest with you, as far as our box play goes, as far as like set pieces go, Chelsea's just not very good at defending set pieces. We don't have the aerial threats all over the pitch. We don't have, like, if you come with 3 or 4 guys that can actually attack the ball, you're probably going to get 2 of them that are going to have open headers because we just don't have the physicality to match it. Like even with Christensen as being one of our center backs, he's not very physical in the air, and even beyond that, like if to nitpick, I would say just even judging the flight of the ball, like we're not very good at that. So if that was the tactic employed by United, then it worked to perfection. I mean, as far as the fouling goes, and like seeing Bruno Fernandes get fouled, or I guess it was Fred just outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
That's that happens. That was basically us pressing up the pitch, trying to get the equalizer, looking to be aggressive on in possession. And once you start pushing guys further up the pitch, it leaves you susceptible at the back. And it seemed to me the entire game that United were looking to hit us on the counter more so than try and beat us in a possession game. I think the numbers were something like 60 some odd percent Chelsea in possession of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it played out. Like I felt like Chelsea were well in control of the game without having the final ball. I thought we had a lot of opportunities, half chances to really inflict some damage, but unfortunately, we weren't able to be clinical enough in the box. And then on top of that, we weren't really finding the final ball a lot of the time. But in terms of like overall possession, build up play, I thought we had the game. I thought our midfield 3 were very good at controlling the game and managing situations. Granted, we lost Conte very early into the game, and that kind of changed the tactic. Mason Mount came on, and while he wasn't ineffectual, I don't think that he had the same sort of influence as, say, somebody like N'Golo Kante would have on the game, because N'Golo Kante's up and down the pitch. He's a guy that's breaking up any sort of like counter-attacking situation. And Mason Mount, while he's good in pressing high pitch and winning the ball, and really putting defenders who have possession of the ball under pressure, I mean, he still has to learn how to get into the half spaces and really dictate the game there, and like get in between like the defenders and the midfielders, and like start really dictating play. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to do that today. I thought that like he had a couple of chances once we started pressing further up the pitch and allowing ourselves to get further inside the 18, get more men in the box presence. But in terms of being a real influence, I really didn't see much of that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I actually expected tactically for Lampard to be even more aggressive on the press than he was. I thought both
Mm.
teams did try it, but United had one major weak point. And that weak point, I mean, there are a few, but Nemanja Matic to me is always a weak point. However, in the last month, he's actually been quite good.
Mm.
But he still holds on to the ball longer than anyone, still on our team. Bruno Fernandes, quick on the ball. Fred now releases the ball fairly quickly, and he's tenacious. Mathis takes a few more touches. Now, he has been reliable. I give him that. But he does take a few more touches. So I thought that every time he got the ball, it would have been smart to target him. But that just didn't happen. That maybe is an N'Golo Kante thing. And, I can't explain why that didn't happen. I also thought there would have been a bit more pressure on Luke Shaw because Luke Shaw's distribution is not very good either. And to be frank, none of those things really happened. It was a lot of, moving the ball around, yes, quickly, trying to make things happen, but Batshuayi wasn't doing the business in terms of link-up play, and there was just not enough of that press, and it just played into United's hands every single time. The United were very willing to soak up pressure, go wide, and you saw Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He gets a lot of flack, and a lot of it was justified in terms of his attacking play, but the guy's got tricks. He just needs to put them all together, and we saw the cross for the goal. And again, I thought Willian had to do better defensively there on Aaron Wan-Bissaka. It's a little drag back with his left foot behind him, but come on, the guy's not that good at creating space for a cross. He's just not. You got to know what to do there, and they let him. And of course, it was a goal. It was a great header from Martial, but you've got to do better. Rudiger has got to do better on Maguire. It's just every little defensive action. I thought, even including the nature of the press, Chelsea were a step behind, and it felt as if they went on their break and just did not practice the things that they're not very good at, which are defensive actions.
Well, again, yeah, you're probably right, and I think the reading of the game there is accurate. I don't think that the game was dominated by one team or the other. It was just these margins of errors that were the difference. And yeah, you're right. Willian should have been able to close down there Wan-Bissaka, who is a winger anyways. Let's be honest. He started playing as a winger as a young kid, right? And then he got converted to a right back. But yeah, he's definitely got the ability to, shift a guy. Let's, for whatever, for lack of everything else, he can do that as a winger.
Sure.
And, you look at, I was a shock to see, first of all, Christensen's got a concussion. And instead of compensating for that, we allowed him to come back into the game with a bloody nose. He's not really going to attack headers with any real aggression, knowing what just happened to him, and he's soft anyways. But I was surprised that, because when I saw the replay, I saw he read the play, he saw what was happening, but he still allowed Martial to get the march on him. So either that's a poor reading of either he read the ball in the air wrong, or he was just lacking aggression, or both, really, right? Because there's no reason why, in the position that he was in, that Martial should be able to get the march on him and then be able to head it back towards the opposite end. It was a great goal. I'm not going to deny that. That to me was down to individual errors and then Martial's brilliance there, unfortunately for us. But in terms of what I wanted to see from United, or what I thought we're going to see from United, I thought we would have seen a little bit more. I thought we would have seen a little bit more from from James, using the flanks a little bit more, especially because they had the two wing backs. And then they had James, I guess, more of an inside forward, I suppose. And Fernandez playing sort of like a number 10. I figured that they'd be using the flanks a little bit more to get more joy. But again, as it stands, it didn't really matter, because what they were able to do proved clinical. The one action where they weren't able to use the flank and get down with some real verve, they produced a goal. So unfortunately, that was on our end. But let's get into something else, though, because there are other talking points in this match, and I know I don't want to keep you too long. But what did you make of some of these decisions? And granted, I'm not one to ever fault refereeing when it comes down to Premier League. I just don't think that we have good referees in the Premier League, to be honest with you. When you bring in VAR and whatnot, it's not really helping the situation. It's just compounding the fact that these referees are just not very good, and then when they're making decisions, they're making these, even with the aid of VAR, they're still making these decisions from poor a poor beginning. So anyways, what did you make of some of these talking points that we had?
Um, so very important caveat. One thing I never do is I never blame referees. I look at the total performance, but I mean, it is part of the game, right? So we have to
Of course.
discuss it. And the fact is, I thought Maguire should have been sent off. I have listened to what he said, and in the context of a game, I understand what he's talking about. In that he said that he thought I can't remember who it was. Who was it?
It was Mishi.
Yeah, he thought Batshuayi was going to fall on him, so he wanted to protect himself or keep him up. And I get it. I'm saying, in the context of the game, I understand what he's saying. However, that's unimportant. His intention, or whether or not he felt he was trying to, he was going to fall on him, so therefore he needed to put his foot up just so he wouldn't fall on him. I get it, but in the context of the game, it doesn't matter. The way that the referee looks at or VAR look at the screen, they don't know what's in his head.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to look at it as, that's kind of dangerous. So therefore, that should be a red card. Again, we play football. We understand. You don't want someone to fall on you. So I understand where he's coming from. And I believe he's genuine. But that has no importance on that. He should have gone. The other two decisions, 100%, those were completely right. But would those have even mattered if he had been sent off? Probably not. So I understand the frustration.
Right. And, I'm going to leave the Maguire thing because I agree with you. I think that's obviously, at least, he didn't even get warned, and you're looking at the screen, like, what are they judging at that point? Like, they're judging intent, or they're judging the maliciousness of the action. You know what I mean? Like, you can't take somebody's mentality into consideration there. It's a red card or it's not at that position. Mm-hmm. But I agree with you. As far as the other two incidents, like, granted, when you have to pull out your protractors and you have to like draw these like little lines across the screen to say like, oh, this is offside by a foot, I take issue with that. I really think that like VAR is supposed to come in to make it so that we don't make clear and obvious errors. And for me, clear and obvious error means that like if it's something that we can't see with the naked eye and it's ruled the other way, then let it go. Let them play. Let the refs the game. If it's something where you have to pull out a protractor and draw these little squiggly lines that don't even look right to me anyways, they always look like they're crooked anyhow, then for me, that's not why you bring that into the game. But having said that, Drew was offside. His foot was offside. And I have no problem with that. The thing I did have a problem with was the amount of grappling in the box, okay, that we see every game, somebody's getting pulled down, yanked down, and whatnot. You see a situation where Azpilicueta is running towards somebody, is pushed into another player, and you see it fit to say that because he, obviously he put his hand in his back, but like again, the initiation was from him being pushed by Fred, I believe it was. So how then do you see that situation as something where? And did that even impact the actual goal? That's the other thing. Like, how does that become something that you're pulling aside and saying that this is a situation where we have to intervene and disallow a goal, when hundreds of any corner, any free kick, you're going to see some sort of like, there's going to be some clutching, grabbing, there's going to be contact, there's going to be pushing, shoving all the time. Why was it that situation, especially when you look at it from VAR? And you see that he was actually pushed into, was it Williams? That it was, I guess.
Williams, yeah.
He's pushed into him. How do you make the judgment that was a foul in the box?
I'll pull a Wenger and say with the Fred one, I did not see it. I did not know. But however, end of the day, he impedes someone who's in the direction of the ball and has an opportunity to get rid of it. So I can't give that as a goal. Now, you can argue about the Fred thing and look at that and go, was it a foul by Fred on? And again, I actually haven't seen that bit, but you can have that argument, but you can't have the argument of, if you trip and fall and hit someone, it's a foul, right? True. So if it's an accident, it doesn't matter. In the end of the day, it's a foul. It's a foul. So to me, that one, it's all about what happened between Azpilicueta and Fred. I don't know. Was it a coming together of two people? Then that's an you know, you let that go. That's what they do. Was it Fred roughing him up? I don't know. I'll take a look at that and let you know. But I do have to run right now.
Yeah, man.
But I will say this. It was a great game. 3 times we got you guys. 3 times Ole got you guys.
Keep hanging your head
McGuire.
on that. Keep hanging your head on that.
I will.
Yeah.
I think it's 4 in the last 5 that Solskjaer has beaten you guys. So even if we sack this man, which, you know, I wouldn't like us to do, but even if we sack this man, I'll hold on to that, my friend.
Okay. Tell us where we can find you, man.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at BUCHE21. That's BUCHE21. Or you can find me sometimes taking over from Alex at UnderTheCosh Twitter handle. That's at _the_Cosh. Find our podcast. We podcast every Monday, release on Tuesdays.
Love it, man. And a Toronto boy, another Canadian up in here. So you have to give him his props for that, even though he's wearing the wrong colors.
Absolutely. Canadian, Nigerian brother. So Igalo, let's go, my man.
Oh, my God. He missed a sitter, too, anyways. But Bernie, it's been fun, man. Thanks for doing this, and let's do it again sometime.
Thanks for having me. Anytime, my man.
All right. Take care.